All right, good afternoon. My name is Lonnie Garris III. I am co-founder and CEO of Cool Amps Energy Solutions, and we have developed a novel lithium-ion battery recycling and reclamation process. And our focus is on the reclamation side, that is getting the metals out of the batteries to be reused in new battery production. All right, we have two primary objectives, and it's really sustainability and circularity. And with sustainability, we're talking about producing or creating a process that is friendly for the environment when it comes to battery recycling. And circularity, we're talking about developing an economically viable process for the United States and the West. And there's also a national security element that I'm going to talk about because there is a competition for these metals. Real quickly, let's talk about the Cool Amps team. This is a seasoned team. We have over 5 decades of experience within the lithium-ion battery field. Talking about my team members have experience developing lithium-ion battery applications and commercializing these applications. Also, over 40 patents associated with our team members. Myself, I'm a retired U.S. Air Force colonel with over 20 years of experience, and we're going to leverage my experience and my contacts within the defense industrial base to help them solve their supply chain issues when it comes to regards to lithium-ion batteries. For a personal note, I got commissioned as second lieutenant right here at UConn in 1993. All right, a couple of weeks ago, you probably heard some pronouncements from the Biden administration about a very aggressive goal to have 2/3 of all cars on the road be electric by 2032, right? To make that happen and also to keep up the insatiable demand for the consumer products like smartphones and laptops, that's going to take a lot of batteries. So a lot of forecasters stating that over the next 10 years, the demand for batteries is going to be in the 10 terawatt hour range. So what does that really mean for all of us who are concerned about climate? And that means there's going to be more mining for these metals such as lithium, cobalt, manganese. So that's going to be a big issue. But there are issues with mining. Let's first talk about this map here, which shows the distribution of the metals out here. Now, the United States is a blessed country, but we have not been blessed with the metals needed for the electrification of our future here. In fact, some of these metals reside in competitor nations. You see some nickel that's in Russia there. But at the center of all this is China. China controls 80% of the supply chain for lithium-ion batteries. That's mining, that's the processing, and that's the manufacturing. Thanks to the IRA, over the next 5 years, we're probably going to have about 12 gigafactories being built here in the United States. But for now, China's the linchpin for this. And so that's an issue, obviously, for the economy and also from the military, as we talked about. Also, with mining, so we're going to need more mining. So the other problem with mining is the terrible consequences it has for the environment here. It's just the amount of energy needed for mining and the water use for mining is off the charts, not to mention the personal effects here. And what you're seeing here is what's called artisanal mining. And that essentially means mining by hand. And this is a cobalt mining in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which, by the way, has 75% of the world's cobalt that's used. And so everyone in here with your smartphone, you have cobalt in your smartphone that was dug out by hand. And every week, someone is dying and has injury to their limbs from this process. All right, so we talked about more mining's needed, but more responsible mining's needed here. And part of the IRA, the President Biden pushed for is to have responsible mining here, particularly in the United States here. But recycling is a strategy we're going to need. There is recycling, mainly you'll hear the terms hydrometallurgy and pyrometallurgy, using harsh chemicals and high heat to do the recycling. And the problem with this is that they use a hub and spoke model that you're basically shipping large amounts of used batteries to these big, large industrial facilities. And their whole model is predicated on processing what they call black mass. And you see on the screen there, black mass. And the problem with that, it's just very energy intensive. It's calcined at about between 600 and 800 degrees Celsius. So lots of energy used for that. However, Cool Amps, we do have a solution, finally a solution for that. And we call it spot recycling. We call it that because it is a departure away from this hub and spoke model that's being used now. Ours is basically a lab-sized environment that doesn't use harsh chemicals. It's an electrochemical process that we've proved at the Washington Clean Energy Test Bed last year to get up to 95% of the metals from the batteries. we envision our process being co-located with these gigafactories, and particularly to help with the production scrap that they're going to have. And the next slide is going to talk about our process a little. It is a 5-step process, but it happens very quickly here. And as I mentioned, the black mass is made from the traditional processes through grinding and crushing and heating up these batteries into the black mass. We're going to have a minimally invasive process that gets us access to the batteries to essentially exfoliate the metals from there. Then our process goes through some normal chemistry techniques to basically provide precursors that go into direct manufacturing of batteries as the final step. This slide here just quickly shows the energy use differential. The far left shows mining, and you can see that pyrometallurgy and hydrometallurgy are not much better when it comes to the environment than mining. But the cool amps, we were able to cut that down by almost 50%, over 50%. All right, let's take a look at the industry here. According to companies like the Boston Consulting Group, this is going to be a $40 billion market over the next 10 years here. And we think we're very well suited here to capture this market because really over the next 15 years, the majority of batteries that are going to be available for recycling are going to be from production scraps. We just don't believe it makes sense to put batteries, and we're talking about pristine batteries that may come off the assembly line, but they don't meet some quality spec. Doesn't make sense to ship them to some big industrial scale recycler here when our process can be used locally and put them right back into the manufacturing process here. All right, so what does that mean for the next 6 months for Cool Amps? We're going to optimize our MVP. Like I said at the Washington Clean Energy Test Bed, we did prove out our concept. We're going to make sure we get all the metals out. We first worked with the cathode to get those metals out, like the cobalt and the nickel. Next would be the anode, and that's mainly going to be the lithium. And that's true circularity right there. But even with just getting out the electrodes, the cathode, we've already turned the battery into something that's non-hazardous waste already. But we're going to go ahead and complete that cycle. We're going to work with the DoD and the Defense Industrial Base to get this circularity because there is a national security element here. The DoD is increasing its use of lithium-ion battery products significantly. According to a report by the DOE, some $200 million was spent last year, and that was through the Defense Logistics Agency. That did not even count the individual services and what they're doing. So they're using a lot more lithium-ion battery products, and they need to make that circular. They can't depend on countries like China. And lastly, we do have a patent out. It's a provision patent. We're going to transition that to a process or a product patent. And so let me just reiterate. So if we truly are serious about the electrification of the economy, we do have to come up with better mining solutions. We also need to have innovative recycling solutions. And here at Cool Amps, we're ready to lead the way in that endeavor. So I thank you for your time, and I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Lonnie.